Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm calling the January 23rd meeting of the Finance Committee to order. A physical quorum of members is present. I'll entertain a motion to permit those not physically present due to personal illness or disability, employment purposes, for business of the board or family or other emergency to participate by video or teleconference. So I had a motion by Member Childress, a second by Member Yu. All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, can we have a roll call?
Member Cahill, Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Dessart,
Here.
Member Eckhoff, Member Evans, Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Here.
Member Guston, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozad, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy, Member Tortori, Member Yu,
Here.
and Member Zay.
Okay, we have a quorum. Great. I'm happy to see everybody made it here safely. So I just want to give an update. As a conclusion of our informal meeting for our ad hoc committee at the end of 2023, we directed our staff to the next phase of the process. So our staff's been engaging in regular meetings with our partners, including the City of Chicago and McClellanburg County and Charlotte, North Carolina. We're also working closely with our consulting partners from Grounded Solutions and from Up for Growth, alongside our local collaborators such as the DuPage Federation and the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference. Monthly meetings have been held since our last meeting, and the latest meeting being just on January 18th. So additionally, our staff has been conducting weekly analysis with the consulting firm Up for Growth, delving into the raw building and housing data specific to DuPage County. This analysis is really important for understanding the current challenges and opportunities in housing starts and attainable housing in our region. So looking ahead, we anticipate on meeting on March 12th for our ad hoc Housing Solutions Committee. And we're hoping to have, some great information for you, for the committee about what the staff has been doing over the last few months. So I know people have been asking about that, so I thought it was important to give an update. So with that, we need to move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment? No public comment. Thank you. Can I have a motion on the approval of minutes from the regular Finance Committee of Tuesday, January 9th? I had a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Garcia. Any corrections or changes to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to budget transfers. Can I have a motion on item 24-412, transfer of funds from salary and regular wages to benefit payments in the amount of $601 to cover termed employee vacation payout for fiscal year 2023 in the Recorder's Office? I have a motion by Member Garcia, second by Member Krajewski. Any discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion on 24-413, transfer of funds from contingencies to automated equipment coroner in the amount of $201 to cover final finance year 2023 invoice for coroner vehicles? I had a motion by Member Galassi and a second by Member Yu. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion on 24-414, transfer of funds from salary and wage adjustments to benefit payments in the amount of $1,000 to realign ARPA 2023 for benefit payments due to vacation and time sold at the end of the year? I have a motion by Member Garcia, a second by Member Galassi. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, we move on. Can I have a motion on 24-421, budget transfers for various departments pertaining to tuition reimbursement in the amount of $13,689 to move financial year 2023 budget for tuition reimbursement, human resources? Have a motion by Member Garcia, a second by Member Galassi. Member Garcia, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just a quick question on this. With the tuition reimbursement, I know
where I used to work, there used to be like so many years they had to actually work at the facility or the organization after they got the tuition reimbursement. What is the rule here at the county?
Morning, Christine.
Morning. Yes, I believe it's a year you have to be here before you can apply for tuition reimbursement. And then it is a maximum of $2,500 per year. And it has to be related to the work that you're doing.
And do they have to stay after a certain amount of time after the tuition?
I don't
reimbursement?
believe so, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Garcia. Member Glossi?
I was actually just gonna ask for clarification on what the policy was. So is everybody eligible for tuition
There is a
reimbursement?
policy, I'd have to look, I believe it's full-time employees, but I would have to check. to make
Okay.
sure I'm saying that
Okay,
correctly.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Member Glossi. Member Krajewski?
Maybe you can't answer this, but can elected officials have on their own policy
Can elected officials?
for their staff?
Yes.
So they can have it different than what we have here. on
They
campus?
can have their own policies. Yeah, you're right.
Thank you, Member Krajewski. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, can I have a motion on 24-422 budget transfers for various departments? Flexible benefit earnings in the amount of $70,039 to cover flexible benefit earning expenses within the various departments currently budgeted within the general funds insurance for fiscal year 2023. And I had a motion by Member Guston, or Member Krajewski, and a second by Member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Can I have a motion on 24-423 budget transfers for various departments pertaining to employee medical and hospital insurance in the amount of $5,188,582 to cover medical and hospital insurance expenses within various departments currently budgeted within the general fund insurance for fiscal year 2023? And I'm sorry, who made that motion? Member Krajewski, second Member Guston. Okay, any discussion? Member Zay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is just carryover? Or is this money that we weren't expecting?
Morning, Jeff.
So these items, insurance, IMRF, Social Security, we charge a separate accounting unit within the general fund. We don't put that money into those budgets. So then at the end, of every 6 months, so we did one probably back in July. Now we're doing the last 6 months. We allocate those expenses out to the departments.
But this is budgeted though.
This is budgeted.
It's
Yeah,
not above budget.
it's an allocation to the
Okay,
departments.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Zay. Member Krajewski?
Is this the exact amount that they came up with for their social security, for their IMRF? This is the year round, so this is the exact amount that their employees incurred for the year?
Yes, the payroll system allocates the expenses.
So we're
every
giving-
pay period.
So we're giving them the exact number here is what they,
Right.
for their actual. So when they had open positions, et cetera, that doesn't count. It's gonna be the actual people who actually work, their actual dollar amount.
Yeah, this is the true expense, what they incurred.
And had, I mean, I know why we're doing this, because in the past, we give them the allocation and they have open positions and stuff, they could use that or other salary increases, et cetera.
Right, but we've utilized this.
Right, for
this-
a number of years.
Yeah, for a number of years.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Member Krajewski. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Can I have a motion on 24-424 budget transfers for various departments pertaining to employer share Social Security in the amount of $2,878,995 to cover Social Security expenses within various departments currently budgeted within general fund special accounts for fiscal year 2023? And I had a motion by Member Cahill and a second by Member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Can I have a motion on 24-425 budget transfers for various departments pertaining to employer share IMRF in the amount of $5,468,408 to cover IMRF expenses within various departments currently budgeted within the general fund special accounts for fiscal year 2023? Motion by Member Cahill, second by Member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. can I have a motion on 24,427 budget transfers for various departments pertaining to benefit payments in the amount of $3,881,015 to cover benefit payment expenses within various departments currently budgeted within the general fund special accounts for fiscal year 2023. Had a motion by member Rutledge, a second by member member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion on 24,428 budget transfers for various departments pertaining to salary and wage adjustments in the amount of $3,494,520 to cover remaining fiscal year 2023 salary overages within various departments currently budgeted within the general fund special accounts. Motion by member Garcia, second by member Galassi. Oh, any questions? Go ahead.
Can we just get a little more detail on what these overages were for, what departments?
Thank you, Jeff.
So this is specific to the cost of living adjustment that was approved. The full 3% doesn't go directly into the budgets. It sits in another accounting unit. So there's a total aggregate dollar amount. And then if the departments need it at the end of the year, now we allocate that COLA.
It was pertaining to the 3% adjustment for cost of living.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
The 6%. Last year we were at 6%.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And can I have a motion on 24,415 budget transfers 1/23/2024 from various companies and accounting units? Motion by member Garcia, second by member Galassi. Any discussion? Member Desart, did you have a question?
I do not know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, thank you. So we move on to procurement requisitions, and we have development, member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. Move approval of DCP 1-24, recommendation for approval of a contract purchase to Safe Built Illinois for professional services to perform building and plumbing plan reviews on an as-needed basis in unincorporated DuPage County for the period January 29th, 2024 through November 30th, 2024 for the Building and Zoning Department in an amount not to exceed $75,000.
I have a motion by member Tornatori and member Guston, second early on. So any discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Tornatori. We move
Sure.
on to human services, member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on item HSP 1124, awarding resolution issued to Teen Parent Connection to provide car seats, booster seats, diapers, formula wipes, and car seat safety training to low-income residents of DuPage County for the period of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 24 for Community Services Block Grant, sub-grantee total of $40,000.
Okay, I had a motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Guston. Any questions on this? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on item HSP 1224, awarding resolution issued to Catholic Charities to provide shelter, case management, and financial assistance to situationally homeless residents and at risk of homelessness residents of DuPage County for the period January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. The Community Services Block Grant sub-grantee agreement also provides financial support for the back-to-school fair for a contract total of $65,000.
Okay, I had a motion by member Schwarzy. I had a second by member Guston. I think she has a little laryngitis, so it's a little hard to hear her, but she is making those seconds right after the motion's made. So, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSR 424, authorizing execution of the intergovernmental agreement between Pace Suburban Bus and DuPage County Community Services for the Senior Transportation Grant Program, the amount of $126,500.
I have a motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Schwarzy. We move on to judicial public safety. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPS CO-1-24. Amendment to purchase order 2846-1 serve issued to Journal Technologies, Inc. for a case management system for additional users due to an increase in staffing to increase the contract total in the amount of $38,055.01.
Motion by member Evans. Do I have a second? Second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, member Krajewski, do you have a question?
Is this a per license, like per user? And then every time we hire another person, we have to increase this? Because I know we're getting more staff at both the
Oh, good morning, Kristen.
defender's office and the state's attorney's office.
DuPage County Public Defender's Office here for Mr. York today. So it's not we do pay per license, but we also pay for the data that goes with it. And so we've increased in staff. We've had an increase in data. This contract was signed 5 years ago. It's up for renegotiation at the end of this year. And I know Mr. York intends to renegotiate it a little differently. This was pre-body worn cam. This was pre-PFA,
Does this give you the flexibility to, if you're gonna, because if you fully hired everybody you need, are you still looking for?
We're
more?
still looking. We still are filling our head count, but yes, we need
So-
it when we
So
hire
this will
people.
cover the additional people that you bring on,
Correct.
come back and ask again.
That is the plan, yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we had all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP 5-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Northeast DuPage Youth and Family Services to provide services to youths who are at risk of domestic violence and trauma for the period of February 1st, 2024 through January 31st. Contract total amount not to exceed $36,000.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP 6-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Alliance Technology Group LLC for the purchase of a backup system for the virtual servers for the Sheriff's Office for the period of January 24th, 2024, 3rd, 2025, for a contract total not to exceed $98,400.20.
A motion by member Evans, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP 7-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Sentinel Offender Services LLC to provide GPS device or electronic monitoring services to juveniles and indigent adult offenders and their victims for the period of February 1st, 2024, January 31st, 2026, for a total contract not to exceed $612,000.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Evans. We move on to legislative and we have member Desart. Morning.
Good morning, and thank you. I move on LEG-P-1-24, the recommendation for the approval of a county contract to McGuire Woods Consulting LLC to provide consulting services as lobbyists representing DuPage County before the U.S. Congress and the federal executive branch for DuPage County's Division of Transportation, Public Works, Stormwater Management, and all other county departments and agencies for the period of February 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2025 for County Board for a contract total amount not to exceed $96,000.
Have a motion by member Desart, a second by member Garcia. Discussion. Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Desart. We move on to technology. Member Yu, good morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on TER 001-24, termination of an intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Village of Lisle to permit county staff to compile geospatial data from the Village of Lisle, updating existing geospatial data and support the Village of Lisle's current ESRI software applications.
Motion by member Yu, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Member Zay, yeah, go ahead, please. Oh, microphone, please.
There's no decision memo on this. Can we get an explanation of why they're terminating this?
Sure. Come on up, Anthony. Morning, Anthony.
Good morning, members A. So we have been providing GIS support services to the city of Lisle, Township of Lisle since 2018. They lost a dedicated resource we stepped up to provide interim support. It's been 6 years. It's 2 days a week. We no longer can support that. So it's the only contract that we have like that. We provide shared services to other municipalities, but on a project basis only. So this is dedicated resource. And we, because of the volume of the work that we do here, we're just no longer able to keep up with that.
Are we gonna give them an option for a shared service to
Well,
enter into contract with us? Are they paying us for this service or no?
I'm sorry.
Are they paying us for this service?
They are paying us. Yeah, they only pay us for an hourly, the hourly rate of the resource who goes out to support them. So we do have an option for them. The option is project related items. So if they need something that has a specific start date, end date, and scope, we're here to support them. And generally, we support all municipalities with mapping information and data as needed.
How long is this contract going until?
How long
Is there an end date on this contract?
it's terminated now?
It's terminated now.
Yeah, this will terminate it now.
Well, what was the original contract? I mean, is there 6 months? Is there a 30?
A year. It was a yearly contract starting in 2018. So we gave them a 30-day notice. Yeah. We've had conversations with them for the past few months about this. Yeah.
Okay, wait. Hey, okay, I have member Ozag, Guston, and Krajewski, but I want to make sure member Zay is done with his questions. Okay, and then Garcia. So I have member Ozag next.
I just want to clarify, this is the Village of Lisle, not the township.
The Village of Lisle.
Village of Lisle.
Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I had a discussion with staff before the meeting today because I did get a call from someone at the Village of Lisle. And so for them, they would pay the county, I believe the budget item was like 30,000. Now without the county, their budget item to go outside of the county is almost over 90,000. And so it sounds like there needs to be some additional discussions on this. If it's just project-based, then that's something that the county can accommodate and will be more than happy to help the Village of Lisle with. If it's something that's a part-time employee, it sounds like the county doesn't have that flexibility anymore. So, you know, it's a yearly thing. I hate to see it get terminated, but I also understand that we don't have the flexibility that we previously had. But I do want to make sure that we do have staff get a hold of the Village of Lisle and see what their needs are and see how we can assist them, because our GIS system is so much better than so many others, particularly private. So I know you've agreed to do that.
I have agreed to do that.
And that'll be happening. So with that, you know, I guess I'm fine with the termination on this.
And if I may.
Yes,
Chair.
yes.
So I just want a point of clarification, that $90,000 that they've agreed to is a not to exceed amount. So it's only if they use it up to that amount. It's, you know, they may use, you know, less than that 90,000. So
And seeing how our staff has been helping them 3 days a week, correct?
2 days a week.
2 days a week, maybe it does come to that dollar figure. I
Yeah.
don't know. It wouldn't be your recommendation, though, to continue the IGA till you can kind of renegotiate it with maybe more of a case by case type of service?
Yeah, they've already hired a consulting company, so they have that consulting company in place already. Not at this time. So again, our capacity to support them in that way, we just don't have anymore. We have 7 dedicated GIS personnel who are dedicated to the entire county, all municipalities, plus our, you know, anything that happens here, the forest reserve, other areas. There's only 1 or 2 people within the team that can provide the type of support that they're looking for. So, and we're working on services that support the entire county.
And I noticed we have the next one, which is the Lisle Woodridge Fire Department, and
Yep.
I'm assuming the Forest Reserve, we do GIS for.
Correct.
And other departments.
Yeah, fire districts, other
So I.
organizations.
And last question, how are we going to be able to manage if people want our services, but we don't have the capacity? Although it sounds like we do have some capacity because some people are getting the service and then some people aren't.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So as I explained earlier, the fire district contract is a project. It's a 40-hour contract. We know that we can schedule that out. We can manage that. We can manage the staff's time for individual projects like that. So a project in the future is no problem. But again, a dedicated person 2 days a week takes away from our ability to support our overall GIS environment. So it's a lot. So, but a project we can do, we're dedicated to do it. Beyond projects, we provide free services to all municipalities when they need general support, right? We still provide that. We'll continue to provide that. We do that today. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Guston. Member Krajewski?
Thank you. It sounds like when I heard we gave them 30-day notice, I feel comfortable as long as they got something in place, which it sounds like they do. And then,
correct.
When these other, like the Forest Preserve or these other ones come up with project-based things, they could have some big projects that would take a lot of time. But I think on a larger scale, maybe we should look at working with our municipalities and maybe, because we do a great job, the GIS here, with doing some shared services. And that means us expanding by bringing a few more people on and then providing those services to the municipalities. And they, of course, would pay us like they do on whether it's the salt contracts or the sheriff in the extra townships, but just on a broader scale. So we don't have all these villages trying to hire consultants or hire their own staff to do their GIS, and then we're doing it also. So just for a long-term plan, maybe look at doing that.
Yeah, if that's the will of the board, absolutely, we're open to it. We just need to bring in additional resources in order to do that.
Sure, but
So,
I'll start with mayors and managers and see how many other villages maybe would be interested
Yep.
in that, and we could take a long-term look at that. Thank you.
we can definitely do that. Let me just say, we are a lean organization by design. 7 individuals that supports the second largest county, within the state of Illinois is
I know
a
they
great
do
thing. They do great things.
Yeah,
Right?
they do a great job at GIS, but then, when we have the Forest Preserve or somebody coming to us with project-based, then the project becomes ours, and you have to try to fit that in and do all your other stuff. Plus, you're providing free services, it sounds like, to some
We are,
municipalities too. So, just thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Member Krajewski. Member Garcia?
Thank you, Chair Chaplin. I wanted to give a little history on the Village of Lisle Board. I actually worked with the GIS gentleman, Rob. He's a fantastic employee, and we're very lucky to have him. The Village of Lisle had their own GIS department, and they one by one got rid of them. And so I don't feel that it is the county's position to actually fill in for positions that they have let go. So I think that this is an issue that Village of Lisle has to deal with because they actually determined that this is where it was going. I don't feel we need to make our staff larger to increase the needs of the villages because they've deleted the staff that they once had. So I just want to let them know a little bit of history of the Village of Lisle. There was a 3-person staff and it's now 0. So.
Yeah, thank you, Member Garcia. That's very helpful. Yeah, to me, it just sounds like some of these municipalities and Forest Preserve are coming to us based on a project, but it looks like we were providing an employee basically to do the Village of Lisle's GIS. So yeah, I think that I'm in favor of this as well. Member Zay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What's the balance in the GIS fund? Yeah.
Oh, can you come up here,
Tom, you.
Tom? Yeah, good morning, Tom.
I think what we're saying, and I understand what you're saying, but we have potential here, like Member Krajewski said, that we have a great GIS department. If we've got money in there to expand it and have shared services that ultimately help the taxpayers.
Yeah, right.
Of the
I don't
county.
know the exact number. I mean, there's what we get in and then.
Morning, Jeff.
2 million, 2.2 million. But that, because it is a recording fee, that does go in ups and downs. Like I said, unfortunately, when the economy is down, there's a lot of foreclosures. That fee can go up because there's more recordings, and when the housing market, now we're in kind of that low end, so it's lower than what we see coming in.
And you understand what we're saying? You guys do a great job. Would there be a possibility of expanding and like we do at Stormwater, we do shared services for different, for our work crews and stuff like that. If there's a potential for
the
that.
projects, that's fine. These short end projects that we come in, because then I can look at it. We can see, if we can fit it in, and sometimes we can go back if we don't have the time. We say, you know what, maybe we come back in a month or so when we have that time. Right now, I've got one staff member that's dedicated those 2 days. I've got projects back here that we want to do for other departments, and I need him here to do those. So like I said, I got only a handful of analysts, GIS analysts that can do that work that needs to be done here at the county.
But is there potential to expand and then?
Yeah,
Yeah, but we're not saying give it to them free, offer, make them pay
right.
for it.
And can I just clarify, a lot of the municipalities, they either have their own GIS coordinator or else they hire out, okay, to consultants. A lot of the work that we're seeing that are come in are the Forest Preserve, because we do a lot of data sharing and they do have a GIS staff person there. He's not a programmer, so we've got programmers that kind of do that programming work for them at time to time. Where the other ones we're seeing is like townships or fire protection districts where they don't have that resource and they want something GIS quick for like the Lyle Woodridge. It's for their assessment, their insurance rating type thing report that we come in and we've done that. We've done it 5 years ago. So we've got a lot of the stuff already done. We just got to put the data in there. So like I said, the municipalities, they mostly either have their own coordinator or else they hire someone because they're doing a lot more GIS than say like a fire protection would do, for these short-term projects.
Thank you, Member Zay. I have Member Desart and then Member Krajewski. Member Desart?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm hearing a couple of different things. I understand what Member Garcia was saying, that they had their own Lyle had their own GIS department, and through the years let all three go. However, I'm also hearing that DuPage County has done this work for 6 years at 2 days a week. And I know that you answered the question already, Anthony, that we did charge Lyle, the Village of Lyle, for this time. So I guess my question is, did we not charge enough? Because if we charged enough, maybe we could cover that employee's salary for those 2 days a week, or hire from within our department to cover that 2 day a week period.
Yeah, thank you, Member Desart, for the question, but it's more of an issue of capacity. We just don't have the capacity. The only thing that we can do is bring on additional resources to cover that kind of support. So the existing staff, we cannot add anything else to their plates. As Tom just mentioned, we're at a point where we are behind in certain projects because we had a dedicated resource going out twice a week to provide day-to-day support.
All right, thank you. And then
it's not a model that we use anywhere else, right? So it's a one-off that we use for all other, as he mentioned before, municipalities and fire districts. We do projects.
So Anthony, that begs the question that if the Village of Lyle came back to DuPage County with specific projects, how then would we be able to cover those projects if we don't have enough people to cover the projects that are existing right now?
Yeah, so we have periods throughout the year where it's a low, we have ups and downs. We usually work through those things with the municipalities or the other organizations that we support. So it really depends. We figure out a way to tie it into the things that we're working on. Is there a chance that we could get to a point where we're over capacity? Absolutely. We have not done that. And, there may be an opportunity in the future to maybe bring on additional resources to help us out with that long term. But we've been able to manage through it in the past, because usually those projects are small. The one with Lyle and Woodridge fire protection is 40 hours, right? So we can figure out how to add 40 hours into our time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So just again, to reiterate, basically our GIS is taking one of our employees and dedicating them to the Village of Lyle 2 days a week, taking away from our work here at the county. So that's not sustainable anymore. So I think it's really important that is what's distinguished. Village was paying for it, but that's not the issue. The issue is that our department is stressed as far as the workload, and we shouldn't be doing that work 2 days a week for the Village of Lyle. That's what I'm understanding, correct?
Right.
Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. Okay, Member Krajewski, and then Member Gustin, and then Member Galassi.
I'm sure our sheriff's department's very short-staffed. He tells us all the time, but we've dedicated some sheriffs to a couple townships for extra hours that I'm not sure we're going to want to pull them back, and we'll have sheriffs or townships upset with us. But It sounds like, you know, one, you definitely have the capacity, with reserves in there to hire another person. So if you guys are lean and mean and have a lot of projects, you know, possibly need to bring somebody on. But I think even again, back to a global standpoint, it sounds like we have some fire protection districts and other small government entities out there that seem to be maybe using consultants. And we map the whole county. So I think we should maybe take a look at some of our other municipal and government entities in DuPage. To the extent they're using consultants, I'm sure they're paying a lot more than if we have 1 or 2 or 3 more people here that could provide shared services for these small government entities. I think it would save a lot of money for everybody on a whole. Not Lyle, I understand Lyle's a full-time person, but we got these other special projects we do, like for the Forest Preserve, for the other municipalities. But we'll probably find out we have other small entities out there that are hiring consultants to do GIS and paying 50, 60 grand.
Yep.
That we could help them on the 40 hours here, the 30 hours there. So again, I think we should take a look at that.
Yeah, I think that's worth looking into, but I do want to just make a point about the reserves. We try our best not to use the reserves, right? Unless we have to. We don't want to deplete that. It's for a rainy day. Like now, our revenues are actually down. So we need those reserves. We don't want to tap into them.
Right, yeah. It's always been a policy, I think, of this county that we don't use reserves for salaries because it is not a reliable source, right?
Well,
So
it's not the reserve. I mean, it's money that comes in, and my guess is that you didn't use it all. So that's how it got in there. So if you're starting to use the income that's coming in from the GIS recording fees, the only way you got that was because you had more revenue than you did expenses. If you had another person in there, then it would cover that, and then you'd have less going into your
No, I get it. It makes sense. Yeah, we use it as reserves, but you're absolutely right.
thank you, Member Krajewski. Then I have Member Guston and Member Galassi. I think we're going to wrap it up.
I used to live in the village of Lyle, actually, and I was on the planning and zoning board. It's a small community, just over 30,000 people. So when we're talking about expenses, you know, looking at something saying, oh, it's 90,000 or 100,000 for the county is a lot different than the village of Lyle, right? Which their budget is totally different. You know, they budgeted, I think, we're doing about 30,000 for the hourly services that the county was giving to them. So that was kind of their budget. Obviously now they have to go to a private company and they're going to be spending over 90,000 for a private company. So you know, I understand 2 days a week with the staff. I do think that our GIS system is one of the best. And so if everybody's on the same page and has the same system, it just makes the information more accurate and really does serve the public better. So I think we should really strive to provide that service. I understand that you've got a 2.2 or 2.3 reserve. I get that. But I don't know if we have a policy in place where departments can only have so much in reserve, a certain percentage, like every department should only have 10% of their budget in reserves, that type of thing. So I don't want to overwork our staff also. I mean, if we have these contracts that we've got in place right now, and then we potentially, you know, can keep this contract and then maybe add more, you know, I don't want to overload our staff. And so maybe there is a time and a place to sit down and say, hey, what does this head count look like to be able to provide the service? Because it basically falls on the taxpayers. And it's a service that every community needs, even a small village like Lyle. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Galassi.
I just want to say I would fully support project-based support at these villages. I think it's a slippery slope to be offering full-time or, you know, part-time employees from our staff, particularly with the job market the way it is. So I fully support this decision. Thanks.
Thank you, Member Galassi. And that is another point, you know, as we're coming out of COVID and we are not going to have the ARPA funds and our budgets are going to get back to being tight and we're not going to be able to fund a lot of things. So the board is really going to have to make priorities of what we want to fund, what is, you know, what are, you know, important needs for us compared to, you know, what we can do. So I really, you know, I agree. This is a very slippery slope. And we don't provide employee services. And I mean, if the sheriff, we've been doing this, I think, since 2018, you said, right?
2018.
So we've given them a lot of support. At some point, the sheriff may pull back those contracts with the unincorporated areas because the sheriff's deputies right now, we're hearing, are very stressed and overloaded with all the overtime. So those are my comments on that. So discussion is now closed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the robust discussion on this item, which I had not anticipated, but I think it just goes to show and positively affirm what a great job Tom Ricker and the GIS department does. And if we have to take a look at evaluating, whether or not we can expand a headcount or that kind of thing, then we will certainly do that. Thank you. So with regard to item TER 00224, I just want to start with, I move to discharge the Technology Committee for consideration of item TER 000224, a recommendation for the approval of an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement between the Lisle Woodridge Fire Protection District and the County of DuPage for shared GIS services to include certain shared service information contained in a proposed scope of work not included under the 2018 GIA.
Okay, so
IGA.
I have a motion by member you and a second by member Guston to discharge committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member you.
And thank you. So now I move on TER 00224, recommendation for the approval of an amendment to an IGA between the Lisle Woodridge Fire Protection District and the County of DuPage for shared GIS services to include certain shared service information contained in a proposed scope of work not included under 2018 IGA.
A motion by member you, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member you. Okay, we move on. Member Ozak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I want to thank our crews who have been working really hard the last week, and I hope we are headed for warmer, quieter weather. I move for approval of 240337, amendment to resolution DTP 019722, issued to Rush Truck Centers of Illinois for the purchase of 8 plow trucks with snow and ice equipment for the Division of Transportation to increase the contract by $29,152, resulting in an amended contract total amount of $2,376,714, an increase of 1.24%.
I have a motion by member Ozak, second by member Childress, and member you. Go ahead, please.
Oh, yes. I had a quick question with regard to this one. I understand that each truck is like over $176,000 and now there's this increase to the contract. Would it make more sense to put this back out to bid, or is this the best price that we can get for these trucks?
Okay, we have Bill coming up. Good morning, Bill.
No.
Yes, the short answer is no. But the issue is that because of the lead time on these big trucks, anything bigger than a regular truck that you go buy for your personal use, there's a whole order sequence that really got bogged down by the pandemic. And even though we're coming out of that, if you miss the window of purchasing or ordering these, which is actually basically what happened, that's why there's an increase. The window that we thought we had, we weren't quite able to get in there. Basically we went into the next model year. So now we're having to go for an increase. If we were to go back and try to rebid this, we'd actually be looking at probably next year's vehicles or the year after rather than this year's vehicles. So we'll definitely lose if we rebid.
And Bill, if I'm not mistaken, I think this goes back, this contract was originally bid in 2022.
I think that's right.
Yeah, so we're already waiting. So.
Okay, any other?
Thanks, Bill.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozak.
Okay, I move for approval of DTP 00424, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Veritech Industries to furnish and deliver 4 12,500 gallon de-icer storage tanks as needed for the Division of Transportation from January 24th, 2024 through November 30th, 2024 for a contract not to exceed $92,376.56.
Had a motion by member Ozak, a second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozak.
Our first 2 requests were very applicable today. I move for approval of DTP 000324, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Alfred Benesch and Company for professional construction engineering services for improvements at the Geneva Road Bridge over the west branch of the DuPage River for the period January 23rd, 2024 through November 30th, 2026, for a contract total not to exceed $836,321. Professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process.
Motion by member Ozark, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Member Ozark?
Thanks. I move for approval of DTR 000624, local public agency agreement for federal participation between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation for improvements along County Highway 21, Geneva Road, over the west branch of the DuPage River for an estimated county cost of $1,552,107.
Motion by member Ozark, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Member Ozark?
And I finally move for approval of DTR 000724. Recommendation for approval of an agreement with Libertyville Township for the purchase of wetland bank credits for the replacement of the bridge carrying Geneva Road over the west branch of the DuPage River in the amount of $28,470.
Motion by member Ozark, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, member Ozark.
Thank
We
you.
move on to finance resolutions. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0016-24, acceptance appropriation of the Illinois Department of Commerce Economic Opportunity grant for $65,165, Human Resources Department.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0017-24, additional appropriation for Animal Services Fund, $200,000.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Member
Thank
Krajewski.
you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0018-24, approval of a grant agreement between the County of DuPage and the Child Friendly Courts Foundation, the Safe Harbor Children's Waiting Room, the amount of $40,750, which is ARPA interest.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam. I've been advised we're pulling item 8D.
That is correct. So item 8D, we're pulling. Go ahead, please proceed.
Move on to 8E, move on FIR 0021-24, appointment of IMRF authorized agent and resources.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0022-24, revision of the personnel budget, animal services.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Last, Madam Chair, I move on FIR 0023-24, intergovernmental agreement between Tech Share Local Government Corporation for the professional case management and digital media services for an estimated cost of $181,250, State's Attorney's Office.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Gustin. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. We move on to informational. I'll call member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to receive and place on file informational items: A, payment of claims; B, wire transfers; C, appointments; and D, grant proposal notifications.
Do I have a second? Okay, I have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Childress to receive and place on file under informational items A, B, C, and D. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Okay, now we move on to item 10, our discussion, and we have our Open Gov overview. So good morning.
Pardon?
Morning, Jennifer. Welcome. So we have Jennifer Sin from Finance, and she's going to give us a quick overview of our Open Gov system.
Okay. Okay. My screen. So after I give this brief overview, I will send out an email again with the instructions, and I'll also send out a link where the budget page is. Okay. My screen. So the first thing I want to do is we had a while ago talked about Open Gov, that we're in the process of the 2023 budget. We were implementing OpenGov to prepare the 2024 budget. So finance successfully did that for the 2024 budget. So my team worked really hard and we got everything online. So if you go to the finance page, and again, I'll give you the link to this. This is a page where it has the interactive budget book. So if you click on the interactive budget book right here, you have the home button, overview, summary, operating capital. So again, like right here on the home page, you have a whole bunch of different information. And again, the hyperlinks up top are also down below. So for instance, I want to look at the state's attorney's budget. So I can click on the operating budget and I'm going to get all the different departments and their operating budgets broken down by, say, general fund, general government, judicial, public safety, health and welfare, the enterprise funds, highway, streets and bridges, conservation and design, infrastructure, and other funds. So again, I know that the state's attorney, the bulk of their budget is in the general fund. So I'm going to go down here and I see state's attorney. So every department did a great job filling out the form. You have a department overview. You have a brief org chart that breaks down the department, short-term goals, long-term objectives, performance measures. It also shows their staffing. So it shows all the headcount that they actually have on board at the time the budget was prepared and what was budgeted for 2024. Keep scrolling down. Then you have their operating budget. This is their revenue and it has the prior year actuals. It has the 23 adopted and current budget, 2023 year-to-date actuals, and then the 2024 approved budget. This gets updated. The revenue and the expenses gets updated every day. So you'll see at the bottom, updated January 23rd at 8:44 a.m. So you can look at this for any department. You got state's attorney expense, there the expenses are. So you get a whole breakdown of what was there. So I think that that's really, you can see that for every department. So I'm not going to click on every department, but that's on the internet for everyone to look at. So I think we're very transparent there. The other thing is we did a huge improvement to the capital program and how we show this. And we're planning to make this even better for 2025. This was the first year we did it, but I clicked on capital. So here's a 5-year capital improvement plan. And we work with departments. So we didn't put like our capital threshold right now is $5,000. We did not put every $5,000 project on here. We set a threshold of $50,000 or over. So again, it talks about all the expenses for the various departments, the summary, and then again, it breaks down all the projects that the department submitted. So I'm not going to go through all these, but I'm going to pick one of them. So there's a water main, Public Works did a water main replacement. So if you go on here, you'll see, okay, here's a project. It's a water main replacement. The project details, it's located in Woodridge. It shows all the districts this project is in. It shows what the project description is, the strategic initiatives that this applies to. It gives a map of where the project is actually located, the cost estimate, and then they even put some pictures on of why it needs to be replaced. And then the impact on the operating budget. So this particular project, once it's done, there's no impact on the operating budget. It's like some things, if they buy something or fix something or build something, there's going to be an operating cost to it. So that will be down there as well. So we have this for all the projects that are over $50,000. So I thought you guys can go on here. I will again add the link to the email that I'll send you later this morning. So that's like a very brief overview of what the budget book, but feel free to go through the whole thing. If you have questions, don't hesitate to call me. But then OpenGov, and I will send, again, instructions on this. So this is the report page. So Jeff had, when they asked the question of the GIS balance sheet budget, this took me 2 seconds. I clicked on balance sheet. I scrolled down here. And I went down to GIS and I was able to get this information for Jeff in like 2 seconds. So right here, and then I just scrolled over to the 2023 ending balance. So that it's like everything's in there and it's lickety split. So I mean, I was able to answer that, question for Jeff immediately. But anyway, so back to reports. That was just a quick thing of how quick OpenGov can work. So we did set up county board views. So there's all these different views on here that if you're interested in various things, you can just literally just click like, you know what, I want to see how animal services revenue is doing. Boom, I can click right on animal services revenue and it comes up. And it will give you the breakdown. If I want to see, well, what makes up charges for services? I can go down further and I can expand that to see what makes up that category. and see the revenue for the prior years, the budget, the actuals. And I can continue going all the way across until I get to the 2024 adopted budget. So, but let's say, you know what, I really kind of want to see their expenses and you don't have a view here. I can click on this filter button right here. And I can just change this to expenses. And then I got the same thing. So, I mean, everything's like really quick with this, and I can build reports if you want reports by month, by quarter. If you're concerned, like, you know, if you want to look at the sheriff, I have sheriff on here. You know, there's a sheriff dashboard. Chief Billadu had asked me to, I built him a whole bunch of reports that he was interested in. So, which is really kind of nice, but everything's on here. And like, again, if I want to see the general fund expenses expanded, and then it shows everything on here, but I can go down. Okay. So I can, like, if I want to see, I know a lot of times people ask about overtime. So I know overtime is located in personnel. It's an overtime, it's a personnel cost. So I can click on personnel. Part of salaries, because I know overtime is not a benefit. So I click on salaries. Oh, and here's overtime. So I can see the actual cost of overtime, the budgeted cost of overtime, where we are right now. And so it's, I mean, it's literally that quick. And then if I want to see by department, if I want to see by overtime again, I can go back by filter. And then I can click, I want to see it by counting unit. So then I can see exactly where all the overtime is broken down by. And I can keep going further. So if I want to go and look at, say, facilities management, and I can click there and I get just facilities then. So then I go, all right, now I've just really messed things up and I need to go back to where I was. I can just click reset and I'm back to where I was before. But again, we have set up all these different views, like the ones that we think that you might want to look at. But if you want any additional reports, dashboards created, because the other thing we've created, if I go back on up here and I go back on reports, and I click over here and go to dashboards, this is where we've set up a whole bunch of different dashboards for the various departments. So again, I'll use the sheriff as an example. I click on sheriff. Apparently I have, oh, it has to say I have nothing. And some of these you might not see, like I'm seeing everything, but you might not see everything. But if you need anything, just don't hesitate to contact me. But I have all the different ones broken down for the sheriff's office because Dan wanted them rolled up. He wanted them separate, and it works out great for him to click on. We have all of his special revenue funds, and then you can just click on, like, here's just the general fund all rolled up, and I have it all right here. So that's basically kind of it in a nutshell. And if anyone wants individual training, I've done that for some of the members. If anyone wants to come to my office, don't hesitate. You know, we can set something up and I can give you a more in-depth training.
Well, thank you so much for the presentation. I'll open up to questions. Member Cahill, you had a question?
Thank you. That is excellent. The Open Gov is so transparent and wonderful. The GFOA offers an award for distinguished budget presentation. Have you received that?
Yes,
award?
we've been getting it every year.
Yes, and I think it would be a good idea to put that up on the website and to make sure that the public knows that we get that award. And also, are the audited financial statements up there in a link too?
Yes.
And then you could see the GFOA Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting Award on that one also. And that for everybody, it's the Government Finance Officers Association awards a certificate of achievement for both the budget and for financial reporting. And it's hard to get. And you got to work really hard to do that. It's the presentation.
Right online.
Okay, perfect.
Part of the
Thank
budget
you.
process.
Thank you. I just want everyone to see that. Thank
Yes,
you.
my staff and I actually talked yesterday about we want to try to get outstanding on the category. So that was something we met about yesterday, was what do we need to do to get even better?
That's right.
Yes.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Member Evans, did you have a question?
No question. I just wanted to say thank you so much for making this so easy to use and not one more login. I'm so tired of logins. So thank you.
So thank you. Any other questions or anything? Yeah, you know, I think it's a testament to this board and our commitment also to modernizing our offices and more accessibility to our constituents. They can go right on and see everything that we're doing. And I know when Jennifer, I sat down with her, she was like a kid in a candy shop. She was so excited, showing everything that she could do with it. And I mean, it's really made our finance department's job, I would say, much easier. Is that, I mean, it helps, it's
It makes it easier, but the building the book is a bigger process.
Yes, building the book
Yes.
was very hard,
Yeah.
but now that you have the book, I think it's
Yes.
the streamlining. So,
Yes.
you know, they needed that. They asked
Mm-hmm.
for that from us and we provided that to them. So thank you all.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now we move on to our recruitment procedures policy and their proposed update. So, good morning, Nick. Wow, I think this is the first time you've been up here this morning. Amazing.
You guys hear from me plenty. So good morning. We wanted to put this item on the agenda. There was some discussion before about placing names on payroll, and this has to do with that item. So this is only a discussion item. We want to get input from the board to figure out, you know, what policy you would like to have. We can come back with that. So just so a little bit of background, previously, probably 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, there was a placing names where every single name for every single hire was brought to board for approval before that person could be hired. That was changed, I think, start of COVID probably. So that the only thing right now for policy is that department heads have to come before board for approval. Now originally, and I'm not sure where the breakdown was, originally there was going to be a report given to the board of all the hires. I don't know why that was not completed, but that will be completed obviously moving forward. But there is wording in here for your consideration. Couple reasons that I just wanted to bring up before you guys start your discussion. The reason why placing names went away. The number one reason was the lag in hiring, especially, and it impacted departments like the care center and community services and our housekeeping staff. Those jobs are very hard. You know, when we have 2, 3, 4 week delays for placing names, we would lose applicants. And so I talked again to Janelle and Mary Keating, and they still feel very strongly that that is going to impact. So what we have in here, you know, you can do a grade-based thing. You know, we put 316 in here. If you guys want to do placing names, 316 or above, which is kind of your middle management level, upper management on up, you know, it wouldn't be as impactful. You know, the nurses, the case managers, our environmental cleaning staff, they would still be, we could move very quickly on that. The other reason that placing names went away is it did create a little bit of a problem among our own staff. Seeing everybody's salary out there created a problem. And so those were the main two reasons. We're open however you'd like to proceed. We can, and if we go down a certain path and you don't like it, we can definitely revisit it. But if we do move forward, the options are full placing names, bringing it back as it was before. We could do something where it's 316 or higher would be placing names, and we report. And I would recommend that we actually beef up the report if we go that report route. And you guys need to see adjustments, bonuses, both for county board departments as well as EOs. You need to see everything, and we can make that available. And our recommendation would be we put together a report once a month and send it to all the board. But you know, any questions, let me know, but we just would like some direction how you'd like to proceed. And then we will craft a policy accordingly.
Okay, thank you so much, Nick. So I have Member Galassi, Member Evans, Member Garcia, Member Zay, Member Galassi, and Member Desart. Member Desart.
Thank you. Just for my own clarification. So if we're going back to the placing names, that would mean that we would have to approve a hire?
Yes.
Yeah, if you go to full, I mean, and it can be any range in there too, but if you go back to the full placing names, an offer cannot be extended to the candidate until it comes before the board and it's approved by placing names. Now, in the history of the county, I don't know of any time that the board didn't approve of placing names, but we are not comfortable offering that, and they quit their job before it's approved by board.
Okay. As a former executive recruiter, time is of the essence, and particularly in the job market that we're in right now. I dealt with clients who had rules like this where they had to wait a certain period of time to get certain approvals and they lost candidates consistently. So I do not agree with that policy. I think we need to give our hiring managers the best chance of getting the best people and not slow the process down. Particularly if the history is that we've never not approved somebody, then why not just take that measure away? That's my opinion.
Thank you, Member Glassy. Member Garcia?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Chaplin. I too agree with Member Galassi. I am not in favor of doing the names on payroll again. I think I was one of the ones that pushed for it to be off in the beginning because the same issues were happening. There is such a issue with getting, especially people in the care center and community services, that we cannot wait. We have to have the staff available when we need them. And so if we have a good candidate, I don't want to lose them because they're waiting for us. I think a report, like Nick, you were saying, once a quarter saying exactly who was hired, and then maybe giving the not even their exact salary, but like the range of their salary of what they were hired at and stuff, so that doesn't need to be necessarily known. So I know in the Board of Health, they do something like that, where they're telling us on a monthly basis of exactly who they've hired and who's gone. It's like the terminations and the additions. So something easy like that, just put together so we at least know what's going on with the staff. I think that's what the communication was the issue here.
And I will tell you, and I'm almost thinking, and we can ask Chris Clevenger to come up here as well, but I think once a month, if we're going to the report, would be a better option. Because you as a board need to figure out if there's trends out there that you're not comfortable with regarding bonuses, regarding raises. And that information needs to be given to you, and it has not been given to you. I mean, that without a doubt, it is not.
And I
so
think that was
has
just a
to change.
miscommunication that we thought we were going to be getting that, but that's just taken off. And so once a month would be great. I think we get that at the Health Department board. So I think that would be great here in the county board. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Member Garcia. I have Member Evans, Member Zay, Member Desart, Member Yu, Member Krajewski. So Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Member Galassi and Member Garcia. I think we should let HR do their job and not hold up any progress that we can get. We want to get the best employees at the right time. I will say I like the idea of a monthly report. And I also, I think we should say what the salary is. And I think out of fairness to the current employees, if somebody's been here 20 years and their counterpart just got hired for $10,000 a year more than them, they should know that.
I will tell you, you as a board need to fully understand, if there's a hire, if there's a promotion, if there's an adjustment, you need to know the old salary, the new salary. If there's a bonus, you need to know the bonus, and that information needs to be provided to you on a regular basis. And that is where we have broken down not providing that, because that was part of the discussion before when we took placing names, that would be provided to you, and it has not.
Thank you, Member Evans. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't want to hold up anybody getting hired on those certain levels, but we talk about jobs. It's our job as county board members to oversee the employees of the county. That's some of our responsibilities. We're not getting involved in telling who's being hired, but it is a tool for us to know, like you said, if I have an engineer that's been here 15 years and Public Works hires somebody for a higher amount, that causes problems throughout the county. It may cause in the departments. So again, I have got no problem with seeing a report, which we were told we were going to get, which we never got. But we used to get promotions, we get everything else. I mean, there are some things that have to come to us because of IMRF implications, right, over a certain dollar amount. So again, I'm fine with tweaking it, but again, we should get a report. Let's get a report and see how it is first. I mean, the last thing I want to do is hold up anybody getting hired here, but we do have some responsibility here as board members when it comes to promotions and salaries and people being hired at certain amounts.
To Member Zay's point, so everybody knows what he's talking about. State law requires that anybody with total compensation, that is salary, benefits, cost of health insurance, everything, has a total compensation package of more than 150,000. It needs to be advertised on our website for 6 days prior to any action. That is absolutely, that's state law. We've been doing that, and that will continue.
Thank you, Member Zay. I have Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am in favor of getting a monthly beefed up report, unlike we've seen for a couple of years now. I would like to comment to Nick's comment that seeing salaries on payroll would cause problems with employees. Right now, every salary of a government employee is online. So if I Googled Jason, I would know what he makes immediately. If I Googled Nick, I would know what he makes immediately. So those numbers are already online. And I would imagine our employees look at that. If a new hire comes on, as another member said it, $10,000 more than they've been making, and they've been there for 10 more years, they can look online and find that information. But again, my overall comment is that I am in favor of a beefed up report, learning about compensation, raises, all of those things that Nick mentioned. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Dessert. Member Yu.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I also agree with regard to the monthly report and especially because we're actually, the IT department is in a current situation where we are actively searching for a deputy CIO, which is a very important role that we need to get filled. And to have, this time lag and lose really great candidates is really a big concern, I'm sure, for Anthony and the rest of the IT team. So, slightly selfishly, I really want us to get this forward. And I just had a quick question. I think you had mentioned, Nick, that department heads can bring these new hires to the committee chairs. Is that what it was, the policy before? Or will that be going forward?
So the policy before was that, all placing names went to board for approval. The chair and the chief of staff or chief executive officer has the ability to approve it. But, we didn't want to do that every single time.
Right.
I mean, and so right now, as far as an approval going to board chair, or committee chair, we have the authority to work through, as long as you go through the normal process in human resources, you can hire personnel right now, except for a department head that comes to this board.
Okay, great. Thanks for the clarification. I just want to make this the most efficient process. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Yu. So I have Member Gajewski and then Member Tornatori.
Yeah, I'm fine just with the report. I don't want to do anything to slow the recruiting process down, because I mean, if you hear from probably everybody on the campus, our recruiting process already is long, and we need to look at more of how to shorten that up from the time we do background checks, et cetera. But
And to that point, the background checks are our biggest single problem that we have that we're finding. And I mean, I personally, within Public Works, I mean, we had a background check that took 4 or 5 weeks because we're at the mercy of other agencies. So we are going to examine if there's abilities to streamline that. Maybe other agencies do background checks, but that's something that has been lately the biggest choke point in our hiring.
oh yeah, I mean, if you
process.
last 6 months, all these departments are talking about how they've lost candidates because they want to get a job somewhere else because it's taking so long to get through that process. So we don't want anything that's going to slow that down. In fact, we need to look at that. And then, in the past, when we had placing names on file or we had raises, we had elected officials who would just give raises and would see it. We'd have other elected officials who just want to be transparent to the board and would give us what the raises are. And then we'd start big debates. Even though we have nothing to do with those elected officials, once we allocate their budget, they can do what they want with it. They can give raises out without our approval. They have the money in the budget. So we got into a lot of discussions when some elected officials gave us the raises, and we start big debates, even though we had nothing we could do anything with it. And with other ones, it just didn't even give it to us. And then, that kind of went away. So when you're talking about names and what we have authority to do, it's with everybody under purview the county board.
Let me ask a question though. Are you interested in seeing everybody at the county, EOs as well?
That's what, I don't care.
You can't approve them or disprove them but would you, because they do impact the departments that report directly to you.
I understand that. And I'd let that, what my fellow board members would like to see, but you're only talking about what's underneath the county board. We have 10 silos out there that also are giving raises out, are hiring people, and if they want that information too, I don't know. I particularly don't really see it, but they'll let them run their departments. But I mean, that's asking the board so they understand they're getting just what's under us, not elected officials, unless they want that too.
Yeah. That's a great point, Member Krusky. And when we ask for consensus, I'll ask for that on that as well. Okay, so thank you for bringing that up. Member Tornatori?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also agree that we need to move the hiring process as streamlined as possible, and we also have a duty to oversee what's going on. But if my recollection years back, one of the reasons or the main reason we removed this was because some employees were getting their nose out of joint because they heard or saw what was going on. And this is a question for the state's attorney, because this is a personnel decision. Could we not get a memo every couple of months submitted to us in executive session for us to review, so that even though it's public, as Member Dessart mentioned, it's not out there being flaunted, if you will, in a report as to who's getting what, and yet we'll still know without the general public knowing.
I'll take a look at the exception for what can be brought to you confidentially, but I'm not sure if there's certain employee movement, but generally employment status isn't going to, like, if they just got a raise without some type of, maybe managerial capacity, it may not be possible.
So may I make a suggestion, because it does not rise to executive session to talk about compensation. It's open to everybody. It's on our website. Anybody can see it. But I would suggest that the report we give you, we email it to you once a month. And if you would like to talk about it and committees, we can do that. And an email coming from staff to the board is perfectly legal and proper. Would that be correct?
Fine with me.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Tornatori. Member LaPlante?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would like to say to your point, Nick, that you brought up about even though we don't need to vote on it, or the certain departments don't need our approval for raises. I definitely would like to be able to see that, because it does have a trickle down effect on some decisions that we have to make budgetarily. So I think that kind of information is good for this board to have.
Well, I mean, there are many positions that cross boundaries between departments that report to the county board, EOs. I mean, many of them have crossovers, and we all have the same type of positions out there. So what one does affects the other ones.
Exactly.
Without a doubt.
Exactly. Thank you so much for bringing that up and for raising an important issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Member LaPlante. Okay, so great discussion, Member Zay. I just want to thank you for bringing this forward, because, it's been on my mind too, but I really appreciate you bringing this forward. And, when we had placed the name on payroll, I remember Brian Kuczynski would always say that is the first thing the employees would go look at. And it did cause a little bit of, I know, we always did. So, and it caused a little animosity between some of the employees. So we're working so hard to create, giving our employees fair, good pay and having everybody kind of on an equal level. So I'm happy we're doing this. So I'm going to ask for a couple things on consensus. So can we start with getting an email on a monthly basis? Is everybody okay with that for the first step on this? Okay. Do you think we could maybe get one by the end of this month? Could we do it without the policy?
And I will do whatever this board wants. But my suggestion, I mean, knowing that we've got to go back and track down what all the EOs and everything, if we could do it from this point forward, it would be excellent. I mean, I can try to reconstruct it and work with Chris to do it.
Okay, that's
but
okay.
From this day forward, every personnel action, we will come up with a report format, an email format, so it's very clear, how it's divided, adjustments, everything. And then my thought is, by the end of every month, we would provide that email to this, and that email will likely come from myself or from Chris Clevenger to the entire board. And it will line it out if it's an EO, whatever, so that and we will cover adjustments, new hires, any kind of action bonus. You will have the full accounting of.
Yes, and that was going to be my next consensus. So we want everything on there: adjustments, new hires, promotions, all of that data in their report. We have consensus on that. Okay. And then I believe it is a consensus of this body to also get elected officials outside of the county to also be on that report, included in that report. Correct? Everybody is on that? Yes. All right. I think you have your direction. Is that?
And the one thing, do we want any changes in the writing, or at this point, do we want to leave it alone? As of right now, We will still continue to bring department heads and department heads only for
Yeah.
placing names. I think that is critical for this board to, I mean, and those are longer hires anyway. Those typically are a couple months and that's expected, but I would suggest we keep that, at least keep that level.
Yeah.
And do you want to, so
This-
no other changes. If that's the case, I don't think we need to make any changes
That's what
in
the state's
this.
attorney just advised. We don't need to make any changes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay. Okay, so I think we have the direction. Great discussion. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we move on to old business. Do we have any old business? Okay, seeing none. Do we have any new business? Oh, member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, this is an HR issue and I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't want to bring it up to derail the current conversation. But I have a question. I was told by some senior staff that there has been an HR policy in which if an employee has the same title, that they get paid the same regardless of seniority or length of service. So, and that's been a concern that I have received from senior staff. So you may hire someone with the same title. Someone's been here 20 years, someone's brand new, and they have to make the same amount of money because they have the same title.
Okay, let me ask, hi, Chris, can you answer that for us?
Hi,
Thank
I'm
you.
Chris Clevenger, from the Human Resources Office. I would say that has been a direction over the last several years of looking at compensation, and it's a compensation philosophy, I would say, that in talking about some positions, maybe not all, that based on the position and the time it takes for proficiency and everyone working at that same level, that we bring people in at that rate because they're all doing the same position. If that's something that philosophy wants to be looked at, that's something that we can discuss and take a look at.
Member Schwarzy, member Krajewski, wait, let member Schwarzy finish, then I'll have member Evans, member Krajewski, and member Zay. Okay, and member Glassy. So member Schwarzy, please finish.
And I'm certainly willing to, anxious to hear what other members of the board say, but I feel that takes away some of the flexibility from our department heads. And it certainly does create conflict when you're hiring somebody at the same rate that someone 20 years has been making.
There are a couple different models, I would say, throughout the county. For example, community services. They do look at the case manager. We have a couple different types of level in considering accountability, complexity, budgetary responsibility. There's different roles as well as, levels of pay, and then also years of service is taken into consideration. So I know there's a model that they use for that. So, there is, I think the care center with their contract, that's what they did also with a lot of their staff is look at years of service. We've been frantically putting those new rates in and, looking at to make sure that they're in the right slot for their years of service for their compensation. So I know that there are some other models out there that take that into consideration as well.
Thank you, member Schwarzy, member Evans, then member Krajewski, then member Zay, then member Glassy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, member Schwarzy, for bringing this up because I really wanted to bring it up at some point, but I really like the thought of if you've looked at like the federal government, how they hire. They have the GS level, the basic salary level, and then they have step increases based on longevity. So, if we want to retain the best employees, we don't want to be hiring people at the same level and then they go somewhere else because we've got some leapfrogging here. We got some musical chairs. So it would be nice if we could have some other process where there is some credit for longevity.
Yeah, and we do have a salary range and we do work within that salary range. So, I mean, there is that set in place and it has been since, I've been here a little over 15 years. That's been in place. It moves with the COLA. So it does have movement each year that we do that cost of living adjustment. So we do have, that set up to utilize. So yes.
But there is no increase if someone else gets hired higher, right? They're just getting the cost of living adjustment and not the salary bump, unless that's changed.
So there is a capability, and we do that quite often, is if we, on the market conditions, if we have to bring somebody in higher than a current employee, we do have the ability to adjust people. But basically what Member Schwarzy is talking about is a philosophy of if you have a group of individuals, say 8 or 10 in a department doing the same job, and you bring somebody in at that, they should all be paid the same. That is a philosophy that, that's one philosophy. The other philosophy would be that, somebody who is here for 5 years is more valuable than somebody that's just hired in that position as well. And I think that's what we're getting at. And I think I would recommend, this is a good spot to maybe hit the restart button a little bit and maybe meet with all the departments and figure out maybe, are there practices that maybe it doesn't align with how they operate. And I think it might be a good idea to maybe have HR and myself meet with every department and see if there's a common theme, like, I really like that, I really don't like that. And then we report back to this committee about maybe, hey, we want a different direction than where we're going.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you, Member Evans, Member Zay, then Member Krajewski. And then Member
Thank you, Madam
Blassie.
Chair. I feel that pain every Tuesday when I come here, because, there might be somebody who's been here 25 years and somebody who's only been here a year. And that you think you get something for longevity and in that position it's something, but I understand the pain of employees when that's done. So I would be, glad to, help our long-term employees out, on that. So.
Great.
I'm not saying anything personal. That's what I.
Thank you, Member Zay. Member Krajewski.
Thank you. I just emailed Greg the salary ranges, but maybe you should send that to all the board members.
Absolutely.
But we have I just pull up Assistant Director of Nursing Services, which is a 315. So everybody that's in 315, the midpoint or the low range is 86,000, the midpoint's 115, and the high point is 144. So that position has to be somewhere in between 86,000 and 144. Typically, you'll see in the department, 2 people who've been there, they've been there longer or higher up in the range than somebody that starts, and those ranges do move with COLA. And there's a lot of ability to, if more duties are added to what that senior person is doing, they just would bump up to a higher code also, which would then get them, additional money.
Yeah.
So and these ranges, they're very large between the mid and the high.
Yeah, it goes
Yes,
from,
yes, they
the
are.
midpoint to 75% is below, that's the minimum, and 125% is the maximum.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I would send that all to all the county board members. It's a really nice thing to have, and I look at that for my committee when we're looking at, how we're doing things, but it's got every code out there for all the different levels and how much the low point, midpoint. And so people in the same position are just in that range, and that range it's awful large.
Typically,
Right.
yes.
So, Member Schwarzy.
Thank you, and thank you for everybody's feedback. And I
I'm sorry.
would still support Nick meeting with the department heads and just seeing, getting some opinions from that aspect.
And Member Blassie, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. I might get dinged from the back row here, but going back to my executive recruiting days, we always coached candidates that it just because you're doing the same job, it really depends on your past experience, what your salary range is going to be. So I would go the other way with it. I could see, just as an example, with the GIS department, you could hire somebody who's been at another GIS department with a amazing resume and years of experience at a higher level than somebody who's been here for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
I think it really needs to be a case by case basis. And I actually don't agree with, just because you're doing the same job, you should be getting paid the same, because people's backgrounds and experiences and expertises are so varied. That would be my feedback.
Your point is, and we do, depending on, let's take the outside person coming in, if they have tremendous experience in the industry and it's documented, we will bring that person above our current employees because they have so much. That being said, I can tell you, me personally, and many of the department heads value somebody who's been here for 10,
Yes.
15, 20 years, even though they all may know the basics of the job. Somebody who's been here 15, 20, 25 years, they've seen things that's worked, not worked, and they have a unique perspective that's extremely valuable to this organization. And those people should be theoretically rewarded accordingly.
Yeah. And I couldn't be wrong, but I think, like you said, Nick, I think we do that because, and you can look, at the employee compensation report, you can see how long they've been here and what their salary is compared to a newer person. You see that it usually is a little.
My recommendation is let's meet with every
Yeah.
department head, Chris and I can meet with everybody, figure out what the thoughts are. We'll look at it. I mean, it's an age-old question. Do you pay the same? Do you ladder people? How do you do it? It's an age-old question, but let's meet with department heads and see if there's a common theme.
Yep, great, thank you. All right, any other old business or new business? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Tornatori, second by member you, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, see you soon.